Push it. Push it.
It's pushed.
All right. Good. Is there a number on this thing?
Number 177.
All right. And why is there 3? Hold on. There's 1. Houston, Phoenix.
Yeah.
Howdy, Heidi.
Hi.
How's everybody doing?
Good. We're good.
Pretty good.
Nice.
Hanging out at home.
I recognize that shirt.
Yeah. I wore it just for this.
I don't know where mine is.
Oh, no.
I'll find it someday.
Yeah, check that neighbor you were overseeing. It's probably under her bed. Yeah. So, Heidi, we missed you last week. We told them that you were busy beating up children and teaching, same thing.
Yeah, I was. It was great. It was really fun. I set out to prove a point and I won. They wanted music every day. Somebody asked, "Could we please just have music?" So my goal was to make them learn fiddle tunes, one Irish, one like American type fiddle tune by ear, 100%. And they threw like cellos, violas, bass players. I had a clarinet player, saxophone player. They threw all these, it was supposed to be fiddle classes. And anyway, made it work. Once I got the roster and realized there were the other instruments, I had to pick a piece where, it could translate, or at least, the chord progression would be easy enough for beginners to pick up on. Anyway, so my goal was no music, like learn to do music by ear for all the wonderful skills that it gives you. Oh, boy, excellent. That first day, they're like, "You're going to give us the music, right?" I'm like, maybe. No. Every day. Yeah, maybe tomorrow. But they did it. They learned everything by ear. And the second day, I had everybody do the bass line.
Yeah.
And it's not the bass line. It's like the chords, like measure by measure. This is what, just the basic note of the chord would be. They can't play the whole chord, but like, okay, there's a D major chord, play D, like, and the next bar and the next. And suddenly the melody started to come to them even faster. Like once they understood the structure, 100% by ear. So I knew they could do it. I knew they would learn from it, and I stuck to my guns, and it was great. And they killed it in the performance.
That's
they all
cool.
did it.
That's fantastic.
They did. So it was great. We had fun.
This was at the penitentiary, right?
Yeah. Well, by Friday at 10:00. No.
Yeah. Fiddle for Felons, right? No?
Yeah.
Oh, there's a title. How common is it for for kids who are learning classical instruments like fiddle, whatever, and they're learning how to sight read at the same time that they're learning how to play? How often is ear training? Is that a big part of training generally, or no?
Well, okay. So it depends on who you ask. If like the old Suzuki method, they learned by ear. It was kind of like monkey see, monkey do in a way. Now that's like extremely like over like dumbed down, but kind of. Yeah. That's how they learn initially. So some of the Suzuki kids have trouble reading music at first. Like they go to youth orchestra and they're like, "What are these notes? We don't understand it." So for them, it's the opposite. But like for me, I started in school with like, the orchestra book. I never learned anything by ear. Nobody made me memorize. So extremely difficult for me at first. And now that's all I do. So, it's interesting. It depends on where they come from, but I would say ear training and theory and just, all of those fundamentals. If you take the music away, they're not used to it. They did not like it. But like the second or third day, I took my mandolin in just to play just chords, because I think I even play differently when I have to strum rather than do what I'm used to. And I find the chords differently than I would. Even though the mandolin's the same as the violin, like the setup of the strings, you still hear it differently when you pick or strum.
Yeah.
And so I took that and I said, "Hey guys, I'm new at this, so now we're all on the same page." But I played like the second half of the Celtic tune, just the chord progression, and I asked them what they heard, and a couple of them got it. They were like, "That's Ed Sheeran. That's perfect by Ed Sheeran." I'm like, "Yeah, he stole this." But the point was not that he stole from this Irish jig. It was that, many chord progressions are the same, and then the melodies might be different. But like, we heard it, And then all of a sudden it just started to click. And it was just cool to watch. I was like, I knew you could do it. Anyway.
Yeah. That's a
fantastic.
That's a sign of a good teacher as well. Knowing that you can, whip them into shape. Maybe not.
Yeah. Well, they did great. We had fun.
That's what we were telling them last week. We were telling them about your working with the children and making this world brighter by putting more music in it. Is anybody else devastated that R. Kelly is wrongly accused and sentenced for the 30? No, I'm the only one. Okay, well let's move on then. How about my good friend Ghislaine Maxwell? Anybody upset? 20? No. Okay. No. All right. Am I the only one that thinks these guys are framed? Okay. Anyway. No. All right. Well, anyway, so that will be a marker now for the killing section of the music tonight.
Wow.
So just so you know, because I don't know if any of you SlapperCast heads noticed that last week we forgot. He forgot. We forgot to kill a song. We forgot to save a song. We forgot to sing a song. We forgot to smoke a bong. We're gonna do that. We got Heide in here today because she brings the venom when it comes. Not the band. She brings the venom when it's time to. When she kills a song, she fucking kills it.
In a good way.
In a good way.
Except when I
kills it in a good way.
That I don't like.
Yeah. But also, we were talking earlier too. We have to say a big hello and a get well to Judy, our favorite. Chad's taking good care of her, and she's tough as nails, that woman. But we just want to all say, Judy, keep at it. She's doing wonderful, right?
Yeah, she is. Yeah, I just had dinner with her.
I know.
Yeah, she's doing very well.
Delighted.
So, yeah,
delighted. So big hi, big hello, big healthy hello to Judy. What we left off last week too, talking about Montana and Weston. So we have those nailed down. We got a couple more dates that we're going to do as we go north to Montana in August, and we're going to get young Heide in here. And so I'm going to try to figure out some way of doing a Houston show before we leave, even if it's But I just the last. The people that saw us on Paddy's Day with Heide were like, when can we see it again? When can we see it again? So I'm working on that. And
okay.
Yeah. So the crew up in Montana are very, very excited about having us come out. So and also we got to say too, we have had the best bunch of drummers come through. We have, our job is going to start getting excruciatingly difficult next week when we start doing the second round. We haven't had one. There's not been one dog. Everybody that's come through has been a monster, an absolute monster. So,
and just incidentally, this has been interesting. And I don't know if this is just because it's the first song I've listed on. It hasn't always been true. Yeah, it hasn't always been true.
Let's see if Heide can guess.
Okay. Every drummer we've auditioned so far, and we've let them choose which songs they want to play in what order. We tell them what songs to learn, but when they say, which one are you going to do first? And they've all picked the same song to play first.
We were like, are you guys talking behind our back? Are you guys conspiring? What is the deal here? So can you guess?
Can you guess which song?
What song they wanted to play the most, or like play
as
first?
A drummer? Yeah, that they actually literally chose to play first. Wow. I'll give you a hint. It's on Blagmatic. It's one of the new songs.
I think Pirate.
Mm-hmm.
See?
Bingo.
See? She can't. You can't knock her over. Yeah, that was. We were just like, really? We thought it'd be something like, Wild Rover, that's just a train all the way through, kind of get warmed up. They all jumped in, and the scary part was they all played it well. They all played it well. So what we have been doing is a lot of the time, so we'll play it, and then we'll do it a second time, or we'll run through the list, and then we'll run whatever they're comfortable with. And what we've been doing is saying, okay, now I want you to just play it. Now pretend you've only heard the song the first time and play it. And it's hairs on my neck, hairs on my arm standing up. every single one of them has brought a different style, a different flavor, a different color, if you will, and it's just it's been a and like I say, next week is going to be it's going to be really difficult. But again, it's some people might not be able to tour, some people, so who knows? But as it sits right now, and every single one of them has been just a nice, just really, really friendly, upbeat, drug-free, just, really, really, really sharp people. So that's been really fun.
Yeah, it has. Definitely, we've had some very unpleasant and stressful auditioning experiences in the past. particularly 2008. There's a year that comes up a lot in these discussions. This is totally different from what we used to have to go through back in those days. There was one time, and we can talk about I know this is the story. There is a particular guy you want to talk about. There was on the same time. There's a dude, I can't remember his name. I don't remember how we got in touch with him. He might have responded to a Craigslist ad. And he came in, I think he didn't even have a drum kit with him. So I think we must have asked Jeremy if we could use his kit or whoever's kit was in there at the time.
Yeah.
And he came in, and I remember I went, this is what we had a rehearsal studio on Starrett Street still, close to downtown. And we got him set up or whatever. And I stepped out to go to the restroom, and I came back, and I was walking up the hallway. I could hear him playing the snare, and it sounded nothing like what a drummer should be making, on a snare. It didn't sound anything like a real drummer. And I said, that doesn't bode well. And so we had the knock on the door. So the door automatically locked. So Patrick had to let me in. So I knocked on the door, and you opened the door and looked at me and went, it's just not going well. And then we had to drive the guy home. So no drums. But think of somebody just taking a handful of marbles and dropping them on a snare. That's kind of what it sounded like. And the poor guy, he was so nice, but he was just, it was as if he just touched a drum for the first time. It was, So the awkward situations like that, where you're like trying to figure out how to be, well, we'll get back to you.
Yeah.
But then we had to drive the guy home, like all the way out to somewhere, way out in the sticks somewhere.
Where we didn't have to. He started to walk. He was, I don't have a car. My car's, my friends got my car, something that was just absolutely not true. But, and we're not going to leave him on the side of the road. It's not, so we dropped him home, but.
Dang.
Yeah.
Aww.
Yeah. So thankfully nothing like that is going on again. So, but anyway, it's with, that's why usually when we get to this point, I start having, twitches to the bad experiences of the past.
Yeah.
Every band, I mean, anybody's ever had a band knows what this is like.
Yeah.
Because you got to go through it at least once.
Yeah. And the other thing too, is we have had, the people that we haven't even been able to get back to have been,
yes.
I mean, there's a whole nother tier of people, and it's not that they're lesser drummers. It's just that their things come in later. So we have another whole wave to get to, but we just wanted to get one thing, because there was one point last week where I was like, I don't know who I said was Monday, and there's 2 on Tuesday or 3 on Wednesday or whatever, and you start forgetting where what the play, so it became a little bit of a brain stew, and then you're just, but luckily everybody that came through was just so nice. I mean, and you'd want to have, as the phrase goes, you'd want to have a beer with any of them. They're just, all completely individuals. Their personalities are completely original. They're their own person. Nobody came in trying to be, like, Chad's a Beatles fan, I'm going to sound like Mariah Carey's drummer, or I mean, I'm being silly, but you know what I mean? Like, they're not going to come in and they're not going to say, okay, I'm going to do this just like, it was like I said, I said, well, give me your version of this song. And there it was. It's like, holy fuck. So really, really interesting and good stuff. And immediately, not only good personalities and good rhythm and stuff like that, but just, you can tell off the bat that they're good people, so.
Indeed.
So Heidi, on the same note, you played for a bunch. You played for a bunch of bands in Phoenix. You played all over. Did you ever have any? Were there any nightmare auditions where you?
Minor.
Yeah. Or no. I mean, like that's just the band situation. Where you get in, I've talked to people that tell me about the band. Like one drummer story, we were swapping drummer stories with a friend of mine, and they show up and they're all in the room, and which is the other thing too. You can't. You're relying on them to know that they know that they can do the job. Not just here. You're able to, right? So they go in. The guy could play the drums, but he just didn't bother to learn the songs. So they kind of mumble their way through the songs, and it doesn't go well. And it's just, the guy's like, hey, next time, I'll come in with my stuff done and blah, blah, and they're just like, no, no, thank you. But, off you go. Yeah. And then they were at a gig, and they're this is later, much later. And the band is playing, and the drummer that had auditioned for that band is at the gig, and he's playing with another band. And he's actually said to the guy, he goes, "Hey man, I really like your stuff. I'd like to try out again." What are you fucking thinking? They're up and running. But it's that kind of stuff that you have to ask yourself. You go, are you here? Do you see there's?
For real. Yeah.
Do you have any stories like that, Annie?
Yeah, I know. We had some trouble. We being the Sea Merchants, which was an Irish rock band here in Phoenix that was pretty big for a couple of years. We had a big issue with some bass player auditions. I mean, we had bass players that expected us to teach them, everything. Or, there was a bass player that I don't think he ever got rid of the iPad. Like he could not play one song after years of anyway. But yeah, during the tryouts, it was interesting. They either had just completely the wrong idea, or no idea, or we tried them out for a week or two, or a rehearsal or two, a gig or two, and it was just like, is this guy like neurotic? Is he on crack? Is he like what? And it's essential for rhythm. And in an Irish band, if you don't understand how quickly some of those chords change and the rhythm that the bass player has to have, that's quite a bit different than any other genre, it's a disaster. It's a total disaster. But I've had the same experience with guitar players that think, oh, an Irish song, oh, that's just like a country song. Like you play the chords the same, or the beats are the same. It's just four chords. I'm like, no, I don't think it is. Totally different feel, totally different sound. But they insist that it's not. And you're playing in one style and they're playing in another. And to them it means nothing. Nothing at all. Like just know, like, yep, that's the tune. I did it. It's all good. I'm like, no, that was not. No. Yeah. You just made my job hell. Thank you.
Yeah. And then you're supposed to be able to go out and look the people in the eye and play that stuff, and it ends up being I wouldn't play that. I wouldn't play that for a dead dog.
It makes me think of when we were auditioning fiddle players many years ago, and there was a fella, really nice guy, who came in who had played with another Irish band in town. Really cool dude. But he came in, and I guess we had told him what songs to learn or whatever, but he chose Foggy Dew. And so he sets up a music stand and he puts the sheet music for Foggy Dew on there. All right, guys, let's go.
Not ours. Not our.
Yeah, no, not our version. And he's just playing as we're playing, but not listening to us, not even attempting to get in the right tempo or anything of the feel of the song that we're playing. And we're all kind of looking at each other like, is this really happening right now? You get this, and he'd played in a band already. You got to wonder, like, where did these guys pick up these skills? Or how did he even think that this was a good idea to bring in sheet music for an audition in a rock band? It's very strange.
Yeah, it happens a lot, surprisingly. I think When I was brand new at it all, I did the same thing. But you learn pretty quick. Well, okay, maybe most of them don't learn pretty quickly because they don't invest the time in really like seeking out what the genre is really about.
Yeah.
I mean, there seriously are players that think in their minds they can play anything, right? But big difference between really paying attention. Like, I know I wouldn't just walk into a jazz band and assume that I could really be a jazz fiddle player and do it justice. Sure, I can like make a bunch of noise and like noodle around, but that's not the same as really knowing that style and that music and doing it justice. There's a big difference.
Yeah,
well,
for sure.
I guess some people don't think there is, but I do.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah. Yeah, the jazz trained people are amazing to see those guys. That they
really
not
are.
only do they know their instruments back, forwards, and forwards, but you have to have a really good ear to play in those types of bands. And those guys, they don't even have to have ever met each other. They can sit down and just start playing something and make it sound like they've been doing it for years.
Yeah,
I love seeing that kind of stuff happen.
So Chad, going back to the change and all that stuff back in the day, did you have the same horror story?
Not with auditioning really, because we were only together for like 2.5 years or something. And we didn't see very many members come and go during that time, because when I joined, it was already, Andy, Rob, and Jason already had the unit. They were 3-piece at the time. And then I came and I had my audition and they loved me. So they hired me immediately. And then that went on for about a year. And then we got my friend Dwight, whom I'd been in with Elemental Penguin, our high school band before. He was back from college and we started talking to him about joining, and that was just kind of a shoe-in, because we didn't even audition any other keyboard players. He was playing keyboards. That was really it. The only kind of thing we went through like that was after we had to fire our drummer eventually, and we did audition, I think, a couple of players to potentially replace him, but the band wound up breaking up before we could get to that point. We actually had an audition with Todd Waters, who was the lead singer of Spunk. Fantastic drummer, actually, and he was great. Now, it would have been really interesting if that worked out. We didn't stay together long enough to see that come to fruition. Yeah, so I didn't really experience that until after the change broke up. So when Dwight and I tried to get another band together, there were some strange things going on. But there really weren't any like uncomfortable. Most of the I guess we just got lucky that most of the people we met back then were actually pretty talented. It was just a matter of finding somebody who actually was, committed enough to show up every week and rehearse.
Yeah, the dreaded rehearse. Yes, that's why I form my own bands, because I'm not going to go and audition. And you guys can go to hell if you think you're going to fire me. I'm gonna take my toys and go home. No, man. But no, our good friend Mark Kavanagh, who you probably know from a few episodes back here on old SlapperCast. He's the co-owner of Catch My Carbon. Well, I went to school with Mark in a place called Sallynoggin, just south of old Dublin town in Ireland. And he called me up one night, 852-352. That was my phone number back then. And I don't know how the hell that gets into my head. But so he calls me up and he goes, "Hey, my uncle Greg has a band. They're in Dublin right now, in the city centre. I'm in Killiney, which is about half an hour out in the train, so half an hour south." And he said, my uncle is a guitar player, and they need a singer, tonight. I think he told me at school. He told me at school that day, and he said, why don't you go in and say, "I've never sang in a fucking band before. Are you kidding me?" He goes, No, you can do it. So I used to take the desk, the table in the classroom, and I'd turn it upside down so the legs would be sticking up, and I would sit in the legs and I would do and I would like slide up and down the thing as the Red Baron or whatever. And anyway, so Mark and I have known each other for 1,000 years. He knew I was a character, and he that guy will do anything. So I did. So that day I actually got on the DART, Dublin Area Rapid Transit, and went into town and went into the studio. I'd never been in a studio before. It was just like a rehearsal room. So there was a drum kit set up, and it had the double kick drum set up, big blue drum kit, Premier drum kit, and guitar amps. And all these guys were older than me. I was a kid. I was in school. And we went in, and they're all, how are you? All right. Yeah, sing for us. I was like, I thought I'd just show up and get the job. No? What do you know? I don't know. I was just told to come in here. So so we did. We ended up doing Jailbreak, Dancing in the Moon, Thin Lizzy, of course. It was a few numbers. Of course, I didn't know the songs well enough to and they didn't know.
Making up words?
Probably. Yeah. Probably. But I sang into the microphone for the first time and played, sang with the band for the first time, and I liked it. I said, in my head, I was going, I like this. So I went home after the thing, and I get a phone call late that night, and Greg, his uncle, called me and he said, "Hey, you got the job." I said, "I didn't do anything." So I said, "Great, I'm in a band." Fucking right, I'm going to quit school. No, I didn't quit school. So I ended up getting a phone call then from Greg about a few weeks. Might not have even been a week later. And he said, I quit the band. And I said, oh. And he said, so you quit too. You're coming with me. And we're going to start our own thing. And he started listing all the stuff that he had. So I said, all right, fine. I thought we were great. I thought it was a great band, but yeah, I'll go with you. And then anyway, ended up never doing anything with any of them. But it was for a moment there, I was in a rock and roll band without ever having, basically, I probably sang about 2 lines from 2 songs or whatever. But so I said, well, fuck it. I'll do my own band, and then I'll do my own auditions. Hell with it.
Mm. Fast forward 10 years, right? Or 12 years?
30, yeah.
Whatever it was.
Yeah. I don't even know what year that was. Was it 19? Oh, I'll have to look it up. I
actually looked up just recently. It was our friend Anne Redding.
Yeah.
From Molly Maguire's was reminiscing on a comment of something when I posted that old news article, the story that Bob Ruggiero wrote about us back in 2006. She was saying, hey, when was she was remembering going to see On the Dole at the grand opening of Brian O'Neill's.
Yeah.
Which I had to go back and look, say, when was that? Because she was trying to remember what year it was. So I went and found an article somewhere that mentioned when they opened. So it was 2002, which was later than I thought. I thought they'd been there longer. I said, would it have been 2002, according to this article? She said, yeah, that sounds right. And then I found another article because I remember seeing one that Bob had also written about On the Dole several years before that. And it mentioned that, said, since 1999, On the Dole has been so forth. So
okay. Good to know.
If that was accurate then, yeah.
I'm sure it was. That was a strange thing. On the Dole was it was going to be. This is what I envisioned. I envisioned Blaggards back then, but trying to get people to put electric instruments, like essentially, do exactly what we're doing now. People would just look at you and they go, "No, that's stupid. Don't do that." That's Yeah. So there you go.
So
yeah, we've already spent way too much time on nothing.
Yeah,
I think we should kill a song. I think it's killing time.
Please.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
First.
Let's do it.
Ladies first. I'll go first. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, that joke already.
I know. It never stops.
Okay, so you want me to go first?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Funny you should mention R. Kelly. Because I'm going to kill a song that he wrote that I know it's a well-meaning song and many wonderful artists have covered it. But I think it is the lamest melody. Maybe not the lamest, but it is not that great. It's a very boring melody. Anybody, any guesses which song I'm going to kill?
I know nothing about him.
All of his songs, no.
Does it have a closet in the title?
No.
Yeah.
I Believe I Can Fly.
Oh. Yeah.
I've never liked it, and I feel bad not liking it because, it's supposed to be so well-meaning, and so
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he had much. I don't think he had much good nature in his heart.
I don't think so. No.
unless the nature was underage, you know. I mean, he's got, and actually, we didn't coordinate on this at all. But the song that, and we'll come back to Resurrection in a little while. We'll wait till Easter for that. But for right now, this wasn't coordinated at all. But I hate, beyond hate. He did an acapella, like a one man story thing, and I don't know the name of the song. But I remember walking by a TV one time, and the TV was lucky to stay alive, because I lost it. It was so bad, but it was something like something in the closet. And it's just a cappella, and he's just telling this story. And I went to the door, and I opened the door, and I said, somebody's got to pay for this. I need to blow something up right around now. And it was the worst fucking shit I've ever heard. And then of course he went to jail. Today is Tuesday. So what, 4 days ago, sentenced to 30 years. And, we're going to try and appeal that, but
they turned that into an entire South Park episode, didn't it? The closet thing.
I've never seen South Park either.
There's a whole episode where R. Kelly's in the closet and he won't come out. Anyway, so they must have been riffing on that song.
That's pretty much his life now. So he's going to be in a closet and he won't come out. So, all right, kill, Chad, kill. All
right, I am killing a song by somebody I actually really, really love, but I'm also going to resurrect one of his songs too.
Okay.
And I'm not killing this because it's a bad song. It's just I've heard it so much, and it's like it was his last number one hit. And he's got so many better songs that I don't think it just grates on my nerves. Got My Mind Set on You by George Harrison.
I never thought I would see the day.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I mean, I don't like that song. And it's nothing against George or, I know they didn't even intend it to be a hit. It was just something they just kind of spontaneously started.
Don't make excuses for him. Don't make it's crap. You can get.
I forget what the story is, but I think that they were just messing around with a drum beat, and George said, that kind of reminds me of that James Ray song, Got My Mind Set on You. And so they just, on a whim, they just tracked the whole song. And I went back and listened to the original earlier today, just out of curiosity for the first time. And it's weird for even for an early 60s hit. The production on it is kind of strange. It's not what you would expect. But not to go too far afield on that. That song is an example of where, because I love what is his name? Jeff Lynne. I love Jeff Lynne as well. But sometimes his production, particularly in that era, sometimes gets a little overdone.
Soupy.
Some of the Trevor.
Yeah.
A little soupy, a little too cheesy. Like he gets carried away. Like he just sometimes doesn't know when to stop layering things and doing overdone things.
Speaking of R. Kelly. All right.
Yeah. So although, the horns in that song kind of annoy me. I just shut up. Why are you here? Just go. Anyway. So George, obviously brilliant songwriter. I'm really happy. I mean, preface it. No, let me qualify that by saying I'm really happy he had a number one hit with that, because I don't think Paul McCartney, he was the only Beatle to have a number one hit. I think that the whole decade. I'm not sure about that. So it's great that he got a number one hit because he deserved the recognition. Anyway.
Yeah, and he was probably starving because he only made number one.
So can I resurrect a song now? Since I
just go for it. Take the whole.
There is a song on. He's going way back now. His second solo album, "Living in the Material World," where he actually had a number one hit on that too, which was "Give Me Love, Give Me Peace on Earth." There's another song on that record that was supposed to be. It was actually slated to be released as a second single from that record, and for some reason they canceled it at the last minute for some weird reason. So to this day, it remains this really underrated, deep album track when it totally could have been a single. And it's "Don't Let Me Wait Too Long." And it's a fantastic song. To me, it just sounds, it's like one of the best songs he's ever done as far as, that pop, catchy stuff. He was so good at writing. And most people don't even know the song because they just, not only did it never come out as a single, but you just never really hear it played. So I think somebody could have a number one hit with that song.
Well, here you go. Chad, you're up. Very cool.
So anyway, yeah. Thank you, George.
Yeah. Bye, George. So Heidi, what you got?
For resurrecting?
Yes. Or you can kill again. You can kill again. It's a Tuesday morning.
Keep killing.
Yeah.
No, I'll be nice. In totality, Roy Orbison, just man, I came across, being at home this week, that black and white night concert. Like I'm gonna watch the whole thing. But it reminded me, like, I grew up listening to those vinyls because my dad was a huge fan, and my dad loved to study how songs were written and rock and roll, and he would make notes as he listened, and he was one of those guys who just go to the piano and just play something right back that he just heard. So I remember hearing these things in the background all the time, and I remember hearing this voice different than any of the other oldies or whatever my dad was into at the time. This huge voice, this voice that you didn't expect, that like in the control that Roy Orbison had at any moment in a song, and he was so subtle about it, but then out of nowhere, like, I mean, his voice was good, right, and the range of his voice, but then just the inflection that would just come out of nowhere on just like a syllable of one word, like in Crying, which is probably my favorite. Just the orchestration, the orchestra, I mean, behind him, and just every part of the song. But on the word over, you got to go back and listen to Crying, and what he does with his voice on the word over before you is just like, anyway, I'm just a sap for those ballads and these huge, like just where there's just everything in a song, from the heartbeat and the drums and the bass to these vocals and orchestra behind. And I mean, that's why I'm such a huge Lady Gaga fan. But if you go back and listen to some of his songs and think about who admired him, you can kind of see this evolution that started in rock and roll, that I really do think that he, like the melodramatic effect that, wasn't in rock and roll before him, and the vulnerability when rock and roll was supposed to be all masculine. And I was reading about him because of course I had to get into it today once I thought, oh yeah, Roy. Then I went on my little rabbit hole. But the stage fright he suffered. So he had like a stoic appearance, but these amazing vocals and this like huge effect on everybody on stage. I mean, there's so many of his songs that just send chills. And then a song like, what's the one that sounds like it's out of a musical all of a sudden? Penny Arcade.
Yeah.
And you don't expect, something like that. So I don't know. I think his music is incredible, not just his voice, and then all the icons that, were influenced by him and respect him. And I think Elvis had a mutual respect for his voice, and that respect for Elvis's voice.
Yeah. Well, and metal also steals a lot from there. From there when they were dun 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 dun. That stuff. That stuff. I'm not saying it was born there, but it's with that sweet and sour, with that that passion and that kind of that energy, and then and then you just sit this beautiful angelic voice atop this power, and it really is. It's one of those moments where, because that's, I mean, like him or not, Bruce Springsteen just absolutely just took. I mean, so many people. But I just remember hearing so many Springsteen songs going, and he'll be the first to tell you too. I mean, I'll get him on the phone if you want, but that's a window. But I'll get him on the phone if you want.
Okay.
But thanks, Chad. But they all, it moved everybody, and whether it moved them to steal it for a number one hit or a chart topper, or but everybody went in there. He is he's I think he's the musician's that voice, that sound.
Yeah.
That Running Scared has that heartbeat drum beat that you're talking about.
Oh, I love that song.
Yeah.
That drum beat just
Yeah.
That's it right there.
I forget who it was who said, was it the Traveling Wilburys project, when it was either Jeff Lynne, it might have been Tom Petty, but I think it was Jeff who said this, that he hadn't, this is how he discovered this, because they would all, when they were tracking this record, they would all gather around and do vocals together around one mic for a lot of stuff. and having a great time doing it. But standing right next to Roy singing, I think it was Jeff who said this, he realized that how quietly Roy would enunciate when he was singing, or he would, even when he was going for the high notes, his voice would be very quiet. Like he was very sort of conservative in the amount of air that he was pushing out. And somehow he would manage to get these amazing notes with very little effort. Yeah. And I remember hearing that. There was actually a trained opera singer, a friend of mine from years ago, had told me that it's really good practice to try to work your range at low volume. It's a way to kind of strengthen your diaphragm and down here. And I thought that was pretty fascinating. That it's his voice was almost inhuman in a way.
Oh, totally, absolutely.
So.
Yeah, good choice. Mine's a different. I can't remember if I've meddled in this area before, but this was a song that I was toying with playing acoustically. I've been beating up, and I mean terrorizing a lot of tunes because I like to do stuff that's not. Obviously, if you've seen Blaggards before, you'll see a lot of stuff that really shouldn't be done but we do it anyway. And the same kind of approach with some of these acoustic songs. Well, one of the songs in particular that I've been messing with is a song by Prince. It's called "When You Were Mine," and I don't even know if it's a big hit of his. I was never a fan. I was never a Prince fan. I always knew how insanely good this guy was. I always knew that musicians would trip over themselves when they wanted to talk about his brain, his music brain, his just genius. And of course, I love the fact that most songs are about women, about getting it on, and but this one song in particular, it's kind of, if you can imagine the Knack, My Sharona, if you can imagine that band, or a band like even like one of these modern kind of pop rock bands doing a song. It's very, very, it's nice and chunky. It's got great, like kind of tongue in cheek backing vocals on it. And the instrumentation, it's just a great pop song. And it's one of those,
I'm dying to hear this.
Yeah. It's one of those songs that just makes you move. And if you've ever been to see a show where it's just one guy on a guitar, and again, I'm not knocking it, for people that do it, it's wonderful and it takes a lot of skill. But the looping, where they play something and then they add to it live and then they hit it, so basically they're playing something, recording it, then playing along with it, and they'll overdub it and overdub it. And I've only seen that done live a few times, and it's impressive. I don't like to do it because I'm so scatterbrained. What, you? Yes. I'm so that I'll change my mind halfway through it and want to do something else and throw a new key change in. Chad has been tormented, I'll say, for so many years, because we'll be playing a riff, hey, check this out, I'm playing something. Then he'll jump in and just play along. And then the second time around, I'll add another thing. And he goes, that wasn't there a second ago. I know. I'm just keep up. It's just like, what? Would you play it the same once? No. So like I say, I said all that to say, if you've seen those guys that play live with it takes incredible talent. It takes good timing. It takes all this. I like to kind of just stay in but being one guy with a guitar and one voice, it's to me, it's imperative to have different key changes, and not just myself and my friend Kent were talking about this just the other day. I think last Tuesday or something. We were talking about how much more fun it is for the audience to listen if the singer songwriter, the guitar player, just uses a lot of dynamics on the way he plays without falling out of time, but brings the guitar down, sings, and then brings it back up for the chorus and tries to. And the other thing is too, which I found out in Wild Wild Weston, was when it's just you gotta slow it down, and you gotta give them give them the that downbeat, because They want to be involved.
There's no band there.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you don't put the one there, nobody else is going to put it there.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Absolutely. That's cool. Going back to Prince, I remember, I think it was the very first tour we went on as Blaggards in 2006. And you and I were going over what CDs we were going to take, because that was the decision we had to make before we left back in those days. And you said, what do you think? And you pulled out, you had the CD of Purple Rain. I said, I think we're going to listen to this at some point, but I don't know when, but yeah, it'll be the right time. And it was like in the middle of the night. It was like at 3 or 4 in the morning between stops. You said, oh, you know what we should listen to right now? So get Purple Rain out of that thing. So, that's right. We put that in, listened to the whole thing. And it was like absolutely perfect, like right in that moment. That's why I sometimes say that music, especially when you're on the road, it's like food. It's like there's sometimes a specific thing that you have to listen to at that moment, and that was one of those moments.
Yeah, the other one was the traveling Wilburys stuff, because
yes,
because when we were going back and forth to Austin, a million times. But that would be the one I would call for. We're getting late in the night, and we're on the road. It's 5 o'clock in the morning. We've been on the road since 4 o'clock in the afternoon, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and gone and played. And we're on the way back. But both of those traveling Wilbury records, if you like Roy Orbison and you love good, well pieced together, great music, great harmonies, great rhythms, and there's not a dud on it. There's except for maybe.
The second one has a couple of clunkers.
Yeah. But still, I mean, it's done so well. It's just done so, so anyway, Chad, I agree wholeheartedly. Those songs at that time really saved the car from
right. With the traveling Wilburys too. I remember this. I think we're coming home from Austin. So I remember we're on 610. Sometimes I remember exactly where we were when these moments happened. But you said, I was trying to ask you, what do you want to listen to? And I said, Traveling Wilburys. You said, yes, put that on. We got to Margarita, that one.
Yeah.
That has that long intro.
Yeah.
And you're just like, all right, come on. And you were turning it up, and it would go, because the instrumental intro goes on for a while. And you started turning it up every few seconds, and you started going, come on. Like without fast forwarding, you refuse to fast forward to the part where you're just and I laughed at you. So look at you getting impatient with the song.
Yeah, but it's the same. It's the same as those psychopaths that get out of the fucking car before the song's over. Stay right there. And they go, but there's no AC and it's 1,000 degrees. Shut up! You wait till the end of the song. No, you don't leave the song. You don't leave the song.
Really, especially back, when we were kids growing up too. You didn't know when you were going to be able to hear that song.
I know.
If it was coming over the radio.
God,
Heidi, do you have any music that you particularly like fond of listening to when you're in the middle of a long drive? Do you think it's good for driving music?
That's hard to answer, because I'll bounce from one thing to the next, and I fast forward. even a favorite song, I'll be like, I hit forward. I'm a very impatient listener sometimes. Depends on what I do.
What's something you'd like skipping through songs, or actually fast forwarding through a song?
Like skipping to the next song.
Yeah. Okay.
But typically, if I'm trying to stay awake and it's a long drive, it's something I either can or cannot sing along to, but has to be sung. So it'll be corny stuff, like anything from. Not that ABBA's corny. It's not corny, but those things that you just have to sing along, or Patsy Cline.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. And then I'll switch to something like Metallica with San Francisco Symphony. Just anything to like make my mind keep turning so that I stay awake and stay. Yeah. And then occasionally, the sappy stuff. But yeah, that's hard for me to answer because I bounce around like constantly.
Sure. Yeah, I know. I get really picky too about what I want to listen to. And it's funny that I used to when I was in the days before we had the ability to listen to whatever the hell you want to at any one moment. I used to wish that I could do that. So it wouldn't be, when I was making tapes for a trip or something, I said, wouldn't it be great if I could just take my entire collection with me? And now that not only do I have that, but you can listen to literally any song that ever existed whenever you want to listen to it. I still go back and I'll just pull up the same playlist because I can't make a decision. It's impossible to make a decision. But I guess that's why things like Pandora and I don't know, these automatically generated playlists have become so popular. So I usually don't have maybe I should do that. I usually don't have the patience to listen to Pandora. So there might be something specific I want to hear.
Well, back in the day, in defense of that, back in the day, they would just pick what. I mean, you wouldn't even get a new song if you're listening. If you're on a 8-hour road trip, 10-hour road trip, you're going to hear the same song 5 or 6 times. Yeah. I know when Laurie's in with us and Laurie will play Ozzy's Boneyard, it will be the same. I mean, you can. Yes. It's a carbon copy of the same. They don't even change the song. I'm like, hey, we just heard. Can we skip fucking Dio for So
yeah,
and music is such a personal. It's not only personal, but it's massively. It's to you, it's sacred. To you, it's. So somebody else goes, oh, that's a shit song. Sorry, Mr. Falcon. You got that wrong. So you have a. Like I say, we say this time and time again on here. So we kill these songs, and people are at home, not quite Kelly, B-52 land over there in Atlanta. But you should go, hey, you can't. But we're not killing it because we're saying it's crap. It's songs that just drive the needle into your eyeball. But it's so incredibly personal, and it's so incredible, and it's today. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm actually on fire. I was out on a kayak all day, so I'm in burnt to a crisp. But I was listening to Barbra Streisand and Barry Gibb, their secret collection, or whatever it's called, and
right.
And if you were outside the car, you'd think, my God, that guy's deaf. Why does it have to be so loud? But the truth of it is not that, Barbra Streisand's voice is one of the greatest, like Roy Orbison. It's you may not like it and you may not like it, but you cannot deny that the clarity and the power behind that voice and the timbre and the thing. And then having somebody like Barry Gibb, who may be one of my favorite songwriters of all time. Only, I'm not talking lyrics or anything. I'm just talking melody and just hook. And I mean, just one of these, just a monster, an absolute monster when it comes to to constructing a hit. And I'm, again, I could care less for the hit. I could care less for number one or, but they're so well put together and the hooks are so hooky, they get a hold of you and they're just, so I was listening to it and quite loud and enjoying everything. And there's so much fluff in it, like when, if you do happen to catch a line of the lyric, it's not great. But it's definitely not fucking insert bad pop band here. You know what I mean? Like it's like you were talking about ABBA. When you hear those two female voices together, I don't care if you hate it or not. You have to just give them that those guys, Bjorn and Benny, knew what the fuck they were doing when they put those two voices together. Because I've never heard anything like that. I've never heard.
Yeah, Barry Gibb is just one of those masters of that craft, and we were talking about him in comparison to Jimmy Webb when we're on the road. Actually, we're talking about that. Yeah, those two guys are just so incredibly talented. Just coming up with a structure, and not just the melodies themselves, but the actual structure of the songs is incredible to me. What they come up with, Jimmy Webb in particular.
Yeah,
but Barry Gibb is amazing as well. Yeah,
yep.
He just over and over again. Oh, so many fucking hits. It's unreal, actually.
Yeah. I used to kind of get short of breath when I would be listening to them talking about how after disco died, they were trying to stay busy. I was like, can't you just go float away on your planet of money? I mean, can't you just, haven't you done? But it's not money. It's they were put on this earth. Well, two of them were taken away, but they were put here to do nothing but just make the greatest fucking pop songs, and they did. And and Barry's still at it. He's still at it. It's mind blowing, and something to behold. And getting to enjoy it, like you said, Chad. Getting to getting to pull these songs up on a whim. Hey, piece of plastic in my hand. I want to hear the catalog of blah, blah, blah. And there it is. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
it used to require work to get that stuff. You know,
I know.
You had that either imagine what it was like to get somebody to describe it, go and spend hours at the record store, trying to make a informed decision of which what thing you should buy. Or
as much as you guys listen to all the different songwriters in rock and roll, do either of you listen to classical at all?
He has, yeah. I used to. I don't really so much anymore. I've listened to parody classical, PDQ Bach. I love PDQ Bach. It's been years since I've listened to that stuff, but no, I should. I've listened to like Holst, the Planets Suite. I used to listen to that a lot, but that was mainly because it reminded me of the Star Wars soundtrack. So,
yeah, John Williams.
Most of the classical stuff I know is stuff that like John Williams wrote.
Yeah.
Which
is brilliant, but it's not strictly the classical.
Yeah, I don't know my composers like I should, but I have many. And you see, I'm old. I still go to Cactus and pick out records and go and try to find old records that I used to have and order old records. So, I still won't have a brand new phone. It does everything for you. It can walk the dog. It can light the lighthouse. It can land a plane. It can do everything. I still don't have any music on it. I still don't have any, I've got no apps on it. I've got no nothing. I make phone calls. That's what it's for. So, but
you make phone calls with your phone? What?
I know. And people are going, hey, you can text me, you monkey. And I go, no, I can. I got you now. Oh, and speaking of texting, I spoke live to one June Narnia. What? Yes. I said, I'm going to say that again. Chad, cut it right here. Marker. And you guys go, what? Okay. Count of three. No. So our good friend June Narnia, I got to speak to him. Well, June Narnia has got a new project, a new rock and roll project. And it's I want to say it's a 4-piece. It is a 4-piece. And it's going to be absolute. It's gonna be amazing. So,
cool.
Backseat Delilah.
That's the name of the band.
Yeah, and they are. I heard some tracks. Chad, I'm going to send it to you, and we're going to try to get them down here to Houston.
Cool.
Yeah, it's going to be. Think about like a Gary Moore style blues rock band with keyboards and great vocals and just a rhythm section from hell. I'm telling you right now, it's going to be amazing. So, Chad, if I send you this, if you can put it in the show notes, I'd love to spread a little Omaha down here, and we're really going to try to work hard to get these guys down here. So,
cool.
June Narnia back on the scene.
About time.
So, sorry, and Heidi, we went spinning off after the thing. Was there a classical? Is there a classical favorite of yours? Do you have what's your go-to?
Yeah, and I was just thinking that, when you asked what I play in my car, because I'll switch when I get tired of lyrics and everything, I'll switch to classical. I love Beethoven. Believe it or not, that of all the ones that are great and I like, it's Beethoven. Trite as that might sound.
I don't think so at all. I think it's I have many CDs. I have collections too. I remember back in the day too, buying the TV offer with the 6 CDs, and you can have all these on 6 CDs or 12 cassettes or whatever the hell it was, and it's so, but it's just so well put together, and it really the beauty of that is it can take you to two places. It can take you to that relaxed place, or it can also drive you. You can put that shit on loud and get some stuff done, and it's great stuff.
I did. My mom used to listen to a lot of classical when I was a kid too, so I had that around. So I remember she listened to Vivaldi a lot. I think the Four Seasons were a big thing in the 70s. That was very popular back then for some reason.
Yeah, that's a great LP moment. You know, when you get some really well recorded stuff on LP, and it's just there's a magic to that.
Yeah, definitely. I'm in the process of reorganizing my entire apartment and having to move my CDs around, which I haven't looked at in years. But I have bought classical CDs in the past, so I'm curious but I don't remember what they are. But at some point in the near future, I'm going to find out. So maybe I'll report back on that at some point. Like, there must be a reason why I would buy a classical piece. There must have been something on there that I really liked if I did that. So
yeah.
This is going back 20 years, probably 20, 30 years when I bought these things. So that's why I don't remember.
Go. They were probably called DCs back then. That was before before electricity. Yeah. But so we're going to be posting more about these drummer. And I'd love to, like I said last time, I'd love to post a clip, depending on how these guys feel about it. But the cool thing is they all kind of checked into SlapperCast and they listened, so they got a little background, and it's just it really is. It's such a delight to meet good people that have done their homework and also done a little extra by, because they kind of dug in, they listened to some of it. It was just really, I have to say, the last couple of weeks have been really fun because we met some great, we have met some people that we're going to know for a long, long, long time. And I just wish I could hire every single one of them, because I know nobody's been bad. I swear to God, nobody. I called Heidi after a couple of them. I go, "Hey, are you up?" She goes, "I am now, mother." And I go, I'm not your mother, but you can tell your mother I stopped right there for her, Heidi. I stopped. Okay. I cut it up.
Don't hurt him, Heidi.
Go to mom. Go to marker 109.29. But anyway, so it's gonna be really, really fun, and there's gonna be a lot. And then last week too, we put up some more coffee, and we put up some more some LPs and stuff like that on the thing. We're gonna make room for some more merch, for some new stuff, and I can't wait for August. August, as everybody knows, is the most important month of the year. September can go to hell. October's welcome, but November, December is nothing there. January is nothing. August is the greatest month of all, and there's no question there. But so when August rolls around, we're gonna have some rock and roll for you. So
yeah,
I cannot wait. And if I haven't said it before, let me say it to you right now. Happy 4th of July. And do me a favor. Love your fucking country, for God's sake.
Come on.
Yeah.
That's right. God, I forgot it's July already.
Yes, it is. Oh, my goodness. Yes. Say, can you see?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thanks for listening. And Heidi, thanks for jumping in. She's the busiest of all of us, and yet she still jumped in because yes, she is. And Judy, get well, stay well. And Chad, thanks for taking care of her. And listen, thanks for listening. And check out the website. Check out the dates. They're coming. And I can't wait to get back out and see you. And kids, wear sunscreen for the love of God. I'm on fire.
Yeah, I do.
Shut up. You don't even go out in the sun, Mr. Falcon. No, you don't.
I walked all the way to the post office.
Yeah, but it was 9:00 at night. That's not sun. That's the moon. There's a difference.
God. That doesn't work.
Yeah, he's like a shoebox. It only comes out when there's something important. All right, kids.
Maybe it makes sense.
Shoe polish. I keep mine in the box. All right, forget it.
Oh, okay.